Good morning, everybody. Uh, we'll start in chapter 25 of the book of Numbers this morning. Just a kind of a quick review. We'll tie this chapter in with the previous chapters. Of course, we're nearing the end of Balaam's, the end of the last chapter 24 was pretty much the end of the story for Balaam, and we're about to read the results of what he caused. But Balaam is when I first started reading this about the Numbers, and we were teaching up here, and I said Balaam was evil. And what we're about to read right now is because of the evil that's in Balaam's heart. Balaam is a false teacher. And as we get here in a minute, I'm going to turn to a couple of chapters and books, and we're going to get some commentary from the Bible on the fact that Balaam was a false teacher. And prophetically, he's going to be probably like one of the first of many to come in the future. From that point until now and beyond is what Balaam is. He's a false teacher, false prophet, whatever you want to call it. I kept struggling with the proper name to give him, but once I got to reading in 2 Peter in chapter 2, we see that what he is, the way of Balaam. But anyway, I'm going to start out and read verses 1 through 3 of chapter 25, and then we'll finish up on Balaam right there about him and step into the verses I read. All right, and Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And this is all because of what Balaam done. Now, we talked in the previous chapter, I kept saying, Balaam could have always quit. Balaam could have always left. But he always kept hanging around, and God kept telling him, don't curse my people, don't curse my people. But Balaam kept hanging around. And the reason he done that, if we read here in a few seconds, is he wanted that wealth or that power that was being offered to him from King Balak. And he just couldn't get it out of his system. Each time, he should have packed up and left. But he couldn't get that. He had that desire for that. He kept on. And that's where we've ended up. And even here at the end of the chapter, what we're reading now, the children of Israel are entangled with these Moabite women and men. Could go either way. And they're having bad relationship with them here. And this is all because Balaam kind of gave him an answer that he didn't disobey, the warning from God there, but he gave them some advice. Just send your best looking women and men out to the edge of their camp and lure these Israelites in there. And this is immorality. And this, he gave them this backdoor. He didn't curse them. He never did curse them. But he gave Balak some information of how to get these people in trouble with God. And of course, Balaam's thinking the whole time God's probably going to wipe them all out once they get to doing this, And so old King Balak will have his way, and all the people of God will get mad, and his anger get kindled, and he'll wipe them all out. But God's always been faithful to these people. We've read this all the way through this wanderings in the wilderness. They're his people. He made the covenant with Abraham, and we're going to get to that point. These people are going to get to this point. Even though they fail time and time again, God is true to them. And there's things going on here. These people are this mass multitude of people. We're going to do a census here in the next chapter of how many men they are in this camp. Just fighting men are 600,000. That can tell you what the population of this crowd, this migration of people is. No wonder the king of Moab, Balak, is scared to death. There's a great, large army at his back door here. And he's up above them with Balaam up here on these high places. And unbeknownst to them, they don't know what all's going on up there. They've got a king and a false prophet and a false teacher trying to come up with some way to curse them. They don't know that God's up there looking after them and all this. And of course, we'll see the hearts of some of them right here well, we just read the hearts of some of them. They're disobeying God from acting immoral with these Moabite women and men. And so, and they're going to suffer because of it here in a few minutes too. So, but it ain't what Balaam thought. Balaam was thinking probably it'd be wiped completely out because God would be upset with them. All right, I'm going to turn right quick to Peter, 2 Peter, chapter 2, I believe it is. I got dry air in here, rough on me. Not to mention I've never been a big talker, no way. All right, Peter, right back here. First Peter, 2 Peter. Should have marked it. Well, I'll get there in a minute. Make my note go. 2 Peter 2. Yeah, and this here's Peter, and talking here. False teachers. If we start in here to chapter 2, let me find my verse here. For some reason I forgot to write down which verse it was here, but he talks about the way of Balaam is what these false teachers. Here we go, verse 15. Thought I had that memorized, but anyway, chapter 2, verse 15. Like I said, this particular chapter is talking about false teachers. Peter's talking about which have forsaken the right way and gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bosor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. That's why he couldn't turn it up. That's why he couldn't turn away. That's why he couldn't quit. The wages of unrighteousness is what Balaam was after. And plainly it says here he's a false teacher. He's a false prophet. There's more to come. They're going to be like Balaam from that point on to now, or as long as we're here and beyond, till the end times. They will be false teachers that follow the way of Balaam. Okay? And Jude 11, I didn't even write the verse on that. Let's see, I think it's, but Jude 11, let's go there. Can't quit coughing, it's awful. Exposure of false teachers. This is Jude talking about there again the subject of false teachers, and that's who we're looking at now, Balaam. False prophets ride on it, his enchantments and etc. like that to get his way. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain. Remember, the way of Cain was no faith in God. And ran greedily after the heir of Balaam. See, here's commentary again about Balaam, what Balaam was after. For reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Kor. And that was back in we hadn't read, that ain't been too long ago we read that, where the Kohathites, the way of Kor, they questioned Moses and Aaron's authority. If you'll remember there, it's like, why do you get to make all the decisions? And they wanted to take that place. They wanted to move up from their position and have a higher rank. And of course, if you remember, I think that's where the ground opened up and swallowed them at that point in time. It's not been that long ago. But the thing here is, I wanted to stress that Balaam, all that reading we've done about him and all this going on, he's a false teacher, he's a false prophet, and the outcome of what he done to the children of Israel by spreading this, and for his benefit, he was wanting a reward from this. That's plainly what we just read. He's wanting a benefit from this. That's why he couldn't turn it away. That's why he couldn't walk back. Or if he could, he would have. But he had that in his heart, his desire. He was wanting reward for his unrighteousness. And he wanted it from Balak, and he kept trying, going to the high place. And of course, Balak was there ramrodding the whole thing hoping to get a curse out of them to get this thing to happen. So that's what we're looking at. So always keep Balaam in the back of your mind for what you see coming in the future. You can see what they're after. They're after their own personal reward, and there's gonna be a little something there mixed in with it, and what they're saying, it seems believable, etc., like that. But their end result is for their own reward at the demise of God's people, is what Balaam was doing. That's what he was doing there. So anyway, Shittim, and we flip back over here now. Chapter 25, verses 1 through 3. Yeah, I done them. So when I got there, Shittim, this is going to be the last stop before we cross the Jordan with God's people. If you remember, they're on the east side of Jordan now, and they're getting ready to go back into that promised land, and they got to cross that Jordan River. And their next stop, once they get over there, they're going to Jericho, I believe, and that's where we're going to see the first battle when they go into the conquest of the land. We're going from a wilderness wandering for all these years into a conquest of Israel. And God's going to give them specific directions as they move through here, what they got to do, and the battles to be waged. All right, and they called the people into the sacrifices of their God. And these, like I said, these are the women of Moab. This whoredom is dealing with prostitutes. This is an immoral attack on God's people right here. We've had battles and wars, and, they've defeated them. But look at this immorality here that Balaam has showed them a way to sneak around and put out here on the outer ring of God's people outside their camp and lure them in here with an immoral act. It can be more devastating than the sword, than the battles they wage, all right? And of course, yeah, I read 1 through 3. Plenty, yeah. No need to go on that because I think we know Moab had plenty of willing participants to go out there and lure God's people in, they're being a stumbling block. Verse 4, I'll read that. And the Lord said unto Moses, take all the heads, all right, and this is not like the head of the people, but the leaders of the people, and hang them up before the Lord against the sun, that the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. He's giving them away, instead of completely wiping them out like Balaam was hoping. God is working with them here. They're going to have to clean house is basically what they're going to have to do here. In a situation like this, they can't just continue to let it go and let these leaders continue on here. And verse 5 and 6. I'm going to read 5 and 6. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So, this is a big camp and a lot of people. We don't have to say that many. You just realize that. The tabernacle is only so big. We know what the dimensions of it are. But for a man to do what he has done here with what's going on here at the entrance of the tabernacle, close enough to where it can be seen by Moses and Aaron and the people there at that tabernacle, it is repulsive and it's evil. And to look at it, you think something needs to be done right now. You can't have this going on. But this is the condition of some of these men's heart, that they could fall for this. And then they brings this Midianite woman up and, she's not originally part of God's people. They're from another part there. And they're supposed to act like, so we've got to blend, if they're part of the population, they're supposed to follow the rules and stuff. So obviously this one ain't. And the leader here, he's already, mind's corrupted so bad that he's done this. So now I'm going to read, I didn't read 5 and 6. Yeah, I did. Yeah, 3 through 6. Yeah. Now I'm going to read 7 through 9. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, and that's the son of Aaron, so Phinehas is Aaron's grandson, the priest saw it. He rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. And those that died in the plague were 20 and 4,000. So at the time this went on, they were stricken with a plague for their immorality here that God had identified them for. And you remember we read back in the previous chapters, the men who worked in the temple and around the temple, it was their job, not the temple, but the tabernacle. It was their job to protect the tabernacle. So to me, I look at this as like, this is part of their job. And he didn't hesitate. He went in and put an end to this. If there ain't nothing that's a threat to God's people in the tabernacle at this time, is this immorality that's going on right here. And we're going to see the actions of one man. How long did it take this man to get through the camp, and how long did this go on around this millions of people? And one man takes care of the problem right here. And we're going to see it solved the plague problem, the actions of one man. So there we go. All right. All right. We got that. Yep. Now I'm going to read 10 through 13. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, has turned away my wrath from the children of Israel. One man's actions turned away God's wrath from the children of Israel. That's how the plague was stopped right there. So that's the importance of one man's actions that we can see as an example right there. And of course, God's pleased with Phinehas' actions and got rid of that mess. And Phinehas, son of Aaron, turned away my wrath from the children of Israel while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consumed not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore say, Behold, I give unto you my covenant of peace, and he shall have it, and his seed after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God and made an atonement for the children of Israel. Now the name of Israelite that was slain, even that was slain with the Midianitish woman, was Zimri, the son of Saluah, a prince of the chief house among the Simeonites. And as we get here moving forward, we're going to see that these Simeonites, when we do the census, the number of them has dwindled compared to the other ones. If you go through and do a study of it, so this is just to me like more reflection of what has went wrong with these people. And that's where they come from for some reason. Like one, I guess maybe God's way of punishing them. But when we see them, when they do the census, they're not as been as prolific as the other ones. Although none of them really, because the number of the fighting men is just about the same as it was when we left Egypt. But the thing is, you would think with that many people traveling too, and that you thought the population would have grown, but it didn't. It kind of stayed the same. But had they went into the promised land, think of what their numbers would have been now. You know, God would have blessed them if they'd have went right into Kadesh, so they'd have been even more and stronger now. So all this time, they've just kind of stayed the same as they went along. And, you got to remember God told Abraham, in that covenant, the numbers would be like the stars of the sky. There's going to be lots of them. And this is a lot, but they haven't grown. But anyway, I don't want that too long. So let me read 14. And then I don't remember where I went. The name of Midian was slain was Cos. No, I didn't get it. Zimri's son slew the prince, chief house among the Simeonites. Now verse 15. And the name of the Midianitish woman was slain was Cosbi, the daughter of Zer. He was head over her people and a chief of Midian. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Vex the Midianites and smite them. This is coming in some chapters on. In chapter 31, we're going to see what happens to these Midianites. This immoral action right here had major repercussions, I think, for the Midianites, which we're going to see. But, of course, the Simeonites is what I was trying to tell you. Their population ain't as good, it ain't as high as it should have been. So For they vex you with their wiles, wherewith they have beguiled you in the matter of Peor, and the matter of Cosbi, the daughter of a prince of Midian, their sister, which was slain in the day of the plague for Peor's sake. All right. So that was just the act that Phineas done there. We finished up. But this Midianite, this is those people I like to consider down there in the Sinai Peninsula, down that way, what we call modern day Saudi Arabia. All that kind of blends in together there at that southern border of Israel. But anyway, chapter 26, this is where I've been telling you about the census we're going to have. And this is where they're going to count the number of fighting men they got as they get ready to conquest the promised land. I'm going to read verses 1 through 4. And it came to pass after the plague that the Lord spake unto Moses and to Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest, saying, Take the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel from 20 years old and upward, throughout their father's house, all that are able to go to war in Israel. And Moses and Eleazar the priest spake with them in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho, saying, Take the sum of the people from 20 years old and upward, as the Lord commanded Moses and the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt. All right. Only count the men as 20. Those that are capable of fight pretty much is the best one fighting men's, all that's amounting to. Now this 5 through 51, I'm not going to put you to sleep by reading all of them verses, but it's about this, it's the count of these people. But I'm going to read some from the notes down at the bottom of my Bible to give us an idea of what this population ends up being and how much is in each tribe as we're getting ready to go in for the conquest. So I'll get my Bible up here. All right. All right. So this verses 5 through 51 is, like I said, is this census, and in comparing it to the one we took 38 years ago when we read about it, it ain't really changed that much. It goes on, each verse talks about the different sons of Jacob, the original sons of Jacob and their tribes, the actual number, and I'm not going to call all them off, but we do have down here at the bottom, somebody has done the counting for us and added all this up so it makes it a lot easier for us to understand. The total number of adult males had decreased by only 1,820, positioning them at a full strength to enter Canaan. And during the years of wandering, 1,200,000 people had died. So if you remember back, God told them for their unfaith, their unbelieving, and that generation was not going to make it to the land of milk and honey. And that was 1,000,000 people that did not make it at that time. And this is where we're at now. And just think, like I said, had they just went on in unobstructed like God told them they could have at Kadesh, don't tell them what their population would have been. But anyway, that's hindsight for them. And now I'm going to read 57 through 60. I better not. We got folks coming in. But anyway, I was hoping to get a little further than that. But anyway, I'll dismiss us with a prayer. Dear God, I thank you for this day, Lord. As I stand here, God, I pray you forgive me if I make mistakes, God. It's not in my heart to do so, Lord. I pray that the word we've studied today gives us wisdom, God, and I know it'll make us smarter, God. I know it'll help us make good decisions in our lives, help us lead a righteous life, and help us live just a better life for people who see us, God. As I stand here, we got a brother who's sick this morning, God, and pray for him, Lord, and a host of others. It's members of our church, God. I pray for each one of them, Lord. Just thank you again, God, for your love, your mercy, and your grace. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.